see as the main pros and cons of renegotiation, retendering services when you're facing into a complex technology procurement process?
Sure, John. Well, first thing I would say is it's very situational to your business and the services that your business is consuming. You're considering renegotiating with incumbent vendor or going to tender and going to market, and also the type of business you are. Because if you're a privately owned business versus a public sector business, for instance, you may have different policies, processes, things that you have to do and have to comply with. That means that actually a straight renegotiation and direct reward with your incumbent is off the cards before it's even began. So, again, very, very situational. Just before we get into the pros and cons, what I would say is it's always good to create both options for yourself. And what I mean by that is make sure that you've got a good plan in place that's been discussed, and this, you're not leaving it to the last minute to go out to your incumbent vendor and renegotiate, or equally look to do a tender in 3 months that actually should be taking you 6 to 9 months. So first thing, make sure it's on your category plan, make sure it's socialized well in your business, make sure you understand and you've identified your SMEs and the people that you rely on to make sure that process is successful and that they're on board with you.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, I sense the phrase stakeholder management heading quickly towards us, and the need, presumably, this isn't just something as a procurement leader, you can sit at your desk and make those decisions. You've got a lot of stakeholders you've got to align around your strategy.
Yeah, and what I'd say is, every business is on a big transformation of some kind at the moment, digitalization, data. There's lots of really, really big key, I guess, technology challenges that every business is facing into at the moment, never mind the pandemic for a second. So everyone's time poor. So you've got to think about what the most efficient thing is. And I think, talking about pros and cons of a renegotiate versus a tender, well, tenders take time and they take costs.
Yeah.
And they need a lot of feed in from key SMEs, whereas renegotiating can be a much quicker, 3 to 6 month process rather than a 6, 9, maybe even 12-month process, depending on the size of the service that you're renegotiating.
And presumably, when you talking about that category planning, no procurement professional listening to this podcast has got time to retender everything. So you've got to make some tough choices, right, about what you've got time to go after, where you're going to get presumably the most bang for your buck. Is that the top line question? Yeah,
I'd say as well. It's about where's a lot of procurement teams, particularly greenfield procurement teams, are very lean. So versus what you're going to do in house versus what you might outsource, for instance, you need to look at the best way of executing and getting the best outcome that you can for your business for that particular procurement. So this is for me, and by the way, I'm absolutely not sponsored by TNC. This is where companies like TNC come in really useful from my personal experience, because one, you can give us market rate instantly because you're leveraging lots of different data sources and servicing lots of different companies in different sectors. I can come to you, and if I'm in a renegotiation situation, I can get the benchmark I need without having to go through all the rigmarole of a tender. So that's really, really powerful.